Friday at 4 o'clock, which means we're joined by the great Ron Jaworski. You can see Jaws on the NBC Sports Philly pre- and post-game show on Monday and every Eagles game. What's up, Jaws?
The further I get away from that Bears game, the better I feel. So I'm getting a little more positive. And thank you, Detroit, for last night. Gets me in a little better mood and moving along, trying to will a victory.
There we go.
Well, okay, speaking of positive, let me present to you this challenge. I would like for you to present a challenge that would be, I want you to give us, I want you to give everyone listening, based on what you know about this particular Eagles team, give us a cause for optimism looking forward, because we don't have very much after that Friday game.
I think our history, the way this team has played, you have to go back to last year and look at a Super Bowl championship team. You don't win the Super Bowl championship by not having character. This team has great character, has outstanding coaches, and has outstandanding players. So that's what gives me the promise that this can be turned around rather quickly. They haven't played well in a month. That's troubling to me. And when I was watching the game, being at the game, and then all of a sudden I'm watching on the tape on Saturday, I'm going, something's wrong. So there's just an energy that is missing with that team. And I'm not around them. I'm not around them enough to say, oh, I can put my finger on it. But the energy just hasn't been there in the last month. And that's about what my analysis has shown me.
Wow. Well, that part is concerning, because I guess you don't fix that with a scheme or with plays. I mean, that is about them as players and people. And I just wonder if they're in that place where the change comes from.
Well, I hope they're not in that place, but there are some things from a schematic standpoint that are troubling to me. I did a little research with True Media to find out some stats that things that I see can be validated by some stats. And Eagles wide receivers have run hitches on 28% of their routes. I'm going to tell you that again. 28% of the routes have been hitch routes. That's the highest percentage in the National Football League. This past team has to start getting more aggressive. They got to start going with the deeper passes. And they got to get explosive plays in this offense. It's just they have not been there. And you look at the lack of motion. I've heard you guys have outstanding analysts on this throughout the week. I listen to them. You got McNabb, you got Baldy, you got Mayock, and I'm not a real big motion guy, but the Eagles have to use more motion within their offense. They're 48th in the NFL in fewest plays with motion. By using motion, you can dictate matchups. And those are two things that, just in a couple of days of looking at tape, I think they have to improve upon.
Well, let me ask you this, though. I think when we asked you about that initially, you had said that Jalen sort of likes to have his guys where they are. So I guess my question would be, if the wide receivers of 28% of their routes are hitch routes, what would be the reason for them doing that?
I don't know. I don't know why that ratio would be so high. I mean, it's a high percentage play. Corners are off. I don't know why they would be so high in that regard. And I remember in our discussion, I also said Peyton Manning, it was never, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, hated motion. He wanted to see a static defense. He did not want to see guys communicating while his guys are moving. So there's some of the great quarterbacks in this league didn't like motion. I just think at this point in time, there has to be some changes schematically, offensively. They got to be much more aggressive getting the ball down the field. They don't run posts. They don't run crossing routes. I'm telling you, not say don't. They're probably like 7% is what the stats have shown me. And crossing routes are deep crosses, are the big home runs. You watch Detroit, you watch Dallas. That's what they run with those receivers. You got to get – this team needs more explosive plays.
Yeah, I was looking at that big third down play, I believe it was last night, with Jamison Williams going across the field and using his speed to run away from the defender in man-to-man coverage. But he's going across the field, and Jared Goff hits him right in stride for a big first down conversion and really went on to win that game. If this is something the quarterback, Jaws, isn't necessarily comfortable doing, I'm wondering, as a coach, right, your task with, I guess, putting players in positions for them to succeed, but aren't you also – you got to make them feel a little bit uncomfortable doing things they don't want to do, maybe, and maybe ask him to do this a little bit more?
Yeah, to say this when we got to practice on Monday. So this is the game plan this week. We're getting started on early. We're not running enough crossing routes. The stats have shown we're only running 7% of our routes are crossing us. That's the lowest in the National Football League. We've got big play, speedy wide receivers. Why don't we use them on deep crossers? Why don't we go maximum protection, run 2 receiver routes, give the quarterback time to let it happen? Hey, these routes take time when you're running across the field. But those are where the big explosive plays come, and we're just devoid of them.
So let's move to the other side of the ball because yeah, I know. Well, and the thing is, it's not like the Bears put up 40 points, but that was the worst defensive performance of the year from the Eagles, just to my eye. And then they lose Jalen Carter. So what did you see on tape? And then moving forward, how do they fix that without their best interior defensive lineman, at least in the next couple of games, I would imagine?
Well, this is going to be a real challenge because, the L.A. Chargers, they want to play a physical smash mouth kind of game. That's Jim Harbaugh. That's how he is. He's a Michigan guy. He lives in that maize and blue and tough physical. That's how he coaches. He went out to Stanford and turned into a physical football team. Stanford. So, he turned the Chargers a physical football team. And the Bears were physical. It was almost embarrassing. You guys have been talking about it all week. 47 rush for 281 yards against this defense, supposedly one of the best defense in the NFL. A lot of high draft choices that had been playing well. It was a shock to me. So this is where I think the letter's going to meet the road on Monday night with this defense, especially with Jalen out. Some guys have to step up. It was an awful performance. We got bullied. We got pushed around. We didn't fight back. There was no anger. When you get physically beaten like that, that's hard to overcome. Something was missing.
Yep.
So this Chargers team on Monday night, we don't talk about the Chargers a lot. We don't see the Chargers a lot. What do they do that we as Eagles, aside from the Eagles, let's put the Eagles in the way that they've stunk over the last month. What do the Chargers do that is going to present the most problems for the Eagles?
Play action passing. They want to run the football, and they want to force your safeties, force your linebackers to get noses. Those corners will play off, but the safeties will get noses in the ring. They want to. That's how they want to get you to play. So they're a good football team, and you're exactly right. We don't hear much about them because they're out on the West Coast in the AFC, but they are a physical football team, and a lot's going to depend on the quarterback. How is he going to play or not? That's always the big question. Now, if Justin plays, they're a different team because you got a guy behind him that's not very experienced in Trey Lance, but if Justin Herbert plays, they want to run the football first. They want to hammer the football. There's a reason they got Mekhi Becton, guys, out of free agency. Because we could talk about one of the losses we've had in the season. Mekhi Becton he's one of the reasons we're not blocking as well with the offensive line. Mekhi Becton is a beast. You guys know when he was here, he was nasty, man. He'd punch you in the mouth. He was that kind of football player. Those are the kind of guys Harbaugh likes. That's how they want to play. So it's going to be a violent, physical game. These are games, Ike, you and I used to call them double chin strap games.
That's right.
These ones you better buckle up twice because this is going to be pretty. We're going to hit you in the mouth.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Josh.
Get my neck roll. That's right.
You got the neck roll. I got the double chin strap.
Neck roll, and he wore those giant shoulder pads. Don't forget that, Josh.
Right.
The giant shoulder. Him and Richie. You can barely see their head. The shoulder pads are so high. I fear asking for your prediction, but what do you think's going to happen on Monday night?
I was on such a roll. Now I stink.
Yeah, wow.
These last couple of weeks have really bothered me. I mean, you got a pretty good feel for this team, but I still believe in this team. I believe the talent is there. I believe the coaching is there. I believe they'll get it turned around. To what degree is a turnaround going to happen? I just don't know. But I think they'll get it turned around in L.A. and they'll win it 24-23.
That is a.
Ooh.
Yeah, that was a. That is a.
We'll take it though.
Yeah. Well, I will take 20.
I'll take 3-2, Jaws.
Yes, I'm not usually a win is a win guy, but right now a win is a win. All right, Jaws.
We need to be resuscitated, man.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
All right, Jaws.
All right,
we'll talk to you next week.